Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and I just went 5-0 in the Open Great League with a Shadow Camerupt. Now, I was not expecting to have any kind of success with Camerupt. This is never a Pokemon that's recommended for climbing due to how glassy it is and the fact that it's pretty slow to get the charge moves. However, its fire ground typing intrigued me just because obviously fire melts Scizor, which is one of the most common new Pokemon used, and it completely walls off Dedenne. So I paired it up with a Jellicent and Credilli just to have some fun and ended up going on a crazy run. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. We move into game number 1, picking up a terrible lead Jellicent into Dedenne. The safe switch into Bullet Seed Credilli. Opponent does not have a response and they stay in to throw a resisted Parabolic Charge. If they tried to get the play rough, I could outpace. They're now going to pivot into a Shadow Blastoise, and people are just so weak to Bullet Seed Credilli in the back right now. That's honestly part of why the team worked so well. If you're watching this video on the day that it releases later this afternoon, I'm going to be releasing my best current Open Great League climbing team, and it also features Credilli, as Credilli with Bullet Seed just breaks so many teams. My opponent's idea was to fire off the Parabolic to put me into roll-up plus Hydro Cannon range, but since I Rock Tomb baited one time, their debuffed Hydro will not be enough to knock me out. I can save my shield, and Grass Knot will pick up the KO. So I win switch advantage, and that's the whole game. As they have a Shadow Marowak, they send back into Dedenne, and in comes the star of the show, Shadow Camerupt. Camerupt absolutely melting through Dedenne. Dedenne buffing itself up with a Parabolic Charge. Opponent not throwing on the greatest timing here. But then again, who really knows what Camerupt has? Camerupt is going to get a full farm down, and the opponent will resign the match. Dream lead in the next match. Jellicent into Talonflame. Opponent, oh no, safe switches into Dedenne, and in comes Shadow Camerupt. This opponent throwing on much better timing, going for the play rough, and Shadow Camerupt, even though it does resist play rough, is still so frail. Earth Power coming out from the Camerupt. Down goes Dedenne. Are they going to bring back in the Talonflame? No, they're going to send in Jellicent. Well, Jellicent, they do not throw the Surf, and that means I'm going to get this Overheat. Overheat is resisted, but it still absolutely rocks the Jellicent. And from here, I can just save 2 shields for my Jellicent and win this game. Opponent is going to land a Shadow Ball. They're going to get to send back in the Talonflame, but Talonflame is now going to be debuffed, and my Jellicent will be able to completely run away with the game. I send in my Jellicent. Normally, I'm not a big fan of desyncing the timers, but by debuffing their attack, even if it's a Brave Bird, I can survive it no problem. So that was the thought process there, and also just the fact that my Jellicent is really good into both their remaining Pokemon. They're going to shield, throw on alignment. They know if they throw the Incinerate, I can just fire off my move. They're going to throw the Flame Charge here and switch into their Jellicent, and now I'm just going to commit the shield and fully farm them down and leave with double Surf loaded. Opponent is not going to want to play anymore, and they will concede the match. We move to game number 3, Jellicent staring down a Corviknight, and I'm very happy to not see the Corviknight on my Credilli. Obviously, I'd much prefer to have it on the Camerupt, but overall, this is not bad to see it on the Jellicent. Jellicent is going to be hit with a Sky Attack that does hit for a solid amount of damage, and now I will look to return fire here with the Shadow Ball. My opponent committing an early shield, so it seems like they're not a big fan of Jellicent in the back. So something in the back probably not going to enjoy Jellicent's charge attacks. I'm able to land the Shadow Ball though. Very nice overfarm by my opponent. I'm just going to let this go and take farm on Shadow Camerupt. So I get to send in Shadow Camerupt. Opponent going to switch out into a Dragonite. And this is really not good for Camerupt. I'm able to switch out. I bank 2 Incinerates of energy and send in Credilli. Credilli going to be shielding up a Dragon Claw bait, and I just need this Dragonite gone. So I go for the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to pick up the KO, and back in comes Corviknight. Corviknight is going to get a very nice overfarm here. Corviknight going to fire off Iron Head. Iron Head does not KO. Credilli hangs on, makes the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb KOs Corviknight. In the back, oh my goodness, it's Bastiodon, and we have Shadow Earth Power. This is double super effective damage. Bastiodon is going to shield. Can we make another move? Yes, we can. I need this to KO. It's double super effective. It's from Shadow Camerupt. Down goes the Bastiodon, and against all odds, we move to 3-0 in this set. We now move to game number 4, Jellicent into Shadow Tentacruel, an incredibly good lead. Opponent safe switches into a Shadow Scizor, and I'm actually not going to switch into Camerupt just yet. I'm hoping to grab a shield and that the hex damage will put it into single incinerate range. Oh my goodness, it almost KO'd, but the Scizor lives on 1 HP and they will force a shield with Night Slash. But guess what, Shadow Tentacruel? You're going to have to shield or you're getting one-shot by the Shadow Earth Power. Earth Power from the Camerupt is going to grab the shield. Camerupt continues to farm. Camerupt is so glassy. Oh my goodness. It is taking so much damage from the fast moves of Tentacruel. Opponent now going to send out a Shadow Credilli. And oh no. Goodbye, Credilli. Overheat, one-hit KO. In comes the Tentacruel. Tentacruel will not get the farm down, and that's going to be a Shadow Camerupt sweep, 1v3ing an entire team, and that's a good game. We move to game number 5 of the set, and unfortunately, we're staring down a Dedenne lead. But I save switch into the Bullet Seed Credilli because it's really hard to build a Dedenne team without Credilli being a really good save swap into that team. My opponent is going to tank the move on Dedenne and now send out a regular Gligar. Gligar obviously going to have a nice pacing advantage here, able to connect with the Aerial Ace, but I'm actually really happy to see this here. I can bait it out, I can debuff it, and on top of that, I can even undercharge this Grass Knot and get a really nice Hex down with Jellicent. So my opponent is going to go for the dig. It does not KO. Credilli hangs on. I know this won't KO, so I'm going to undercharge the Grass Knot anyway, and now I can send in Jellicent. Jellicent will get a really nice farm down. I want to exit with energy to threaten Dedenne. Aerial Ace is going to land. In comes Dedenne, and they snipe with a Parabolic Charge. I'm just going to let it go. I'm holding on to that energy. It's Shadow Camerupt time. Camerupt firing off energy here. The opponent is going to be firing off a Parabolic Charge to ensure that they survive that final Incinerate, but all that does is just give more farm to the Camerupt. In the back is Samurott, a water type for my fire ground, but I'm so far ahead on energy. Earth Power is going to be shielded. I'm going to be trying to get to another Earth Power, but they're going to fire off the Hydro Cannon first. I'm just going to under-tab Earth Power, and then I see a path to victory. I'm going to switch into the Jellicent, and then just not throw the move, because they have to try and go for the catch, and they go for the catch. They are unsuccessful. Opponent resigns the match, and that's going to be a full 5-0 set, going from rank 15 to rank 16 with Shadow Camerupt. We're going to pick back up with the team with me doing some midnight sets because I realized that 5 battles was not nearly enough for a video. So we're picking up a very nice lead though, Jellicent into Shadow Swampert. Obviously this team has 2 really good checks to Swampert and I need to keep Camerupt away from it at all costs. Here I will go for the Surf because a lot of Swamperts run Furret behind it. We are going to see a shield from my opponent. They're farming up a ton. I go for the Shadow Ball. Oh no, there's the Furret catch. Oh, I should have surfed. Because that is just such a devastating catch. Great play by my opponent, and I'm immediately on the defensive here. They're going to be firing off Trailblaze. Trailblaze never going to do a ton of damage, and I can immediately put their attack right back to 0 with the Rock Tomb. The next Rock Tomb I'm just going to throw on Alignment, because I need this Furret gone. That Swampert's energy is going to be pretty problematic for me, because obviously Camerupt cannot afford to take a hit. In comes Gligar. Gligar is going to farm all the way down, and I'm going to lose to my own team. Oh no, this is actually a team that I featured a few days ago. In comes the Jellicent. Gligar is going to go for the dig. Dig does KO. In comes Camerupt. I have 1 win con, and that's the farm down before the dig, but it will not happen. I can't shield this because Swampert can make 2 Hydros, and unfortunately, we lose the game with both shields remaining. We move to the next match, picking up a solid lead, Jellicent into Shadow Marowak. Shadow Marowak does have the ability to 2-shield through this, which does make things quite uncomfortable. But my goal, if at all possible, is I want to get Shadow Camerupt in the 1-0s, as Shadow Camerupt in the 1-0s is a pretty serious threat. So my opponent is going to go for the Bone Club. They're going to CMP tie here. I have a really good Jellicent, but even I'm not surviving this. So I will commit the shield, and then I'm just going to look to immediately pivot into Credilli. I can't afford to give this farm down, so I'm going to send it in the Credilli. Even if my opponent pivots out, I'll try and get farm on something later on to knock this out. But my opponent stays in with the Marowak. They fire off the Bone Club. I see them throw the Mud Slap, I wait the turn, and now I get to fire off the Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to pick up the KO. In comes Lapras, and they just clearly have nothing for Credilli. Credilli is going to get to do big damage with Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to land. Opponent going to fire off a Sparkling Aria to pick up the knockout. I'm just going to let this go because it's Shadow Camerupt time. In the back is Talonflame. Camerupt is fully walled, but I don't think it's going to matter. Camerupt going for overheat. Big damage. Opponent gets absolutely rocked. In comes Lapras. Lapras has the side wave down to win, but Jellicent is too bulky. Jellicent gets the Shadow Ball. Down goes Lapras, and we survive and get the win. Moving to the next match, Jellicent into another Swampert. So maybe an opportunity for redemption, as the last time we saw a Swampert lead, it went very, very poorly for us. I'm going to play it the same way I did to start with, building up, baiting with the Surf. This opponent is going to end up no shielding, and there's a switch in to the Furret. This time, luckily, no catch happened. I don't have a lot of energy on the Jellicent, but this game is played out very differently because I also didn't waste a bunch of energy by throwing a Shadow Ball onto a Furret. So they're going to go for the Trailblaze, I'm going to go for the Rock Tomb, and even if my opponent does try and make a play for Switch here, I think I'm okay with that, as long as I can just get a bunch of farm on Camerupt. They're going to go for the Trailblaze, I'm going to fire off the Rock Tomb. Honestly, this could be a pretty tempting farm down for the Swampert as well, so they are just going to let this through, and go for the 2 Mudshot head start on the Swampert. In comes Jellicent, and my opponent does have back-to-back moves now, so I'm going to throw this Surf on alignment. This is intentional. I need to pressure a shield from my opponent, and then I'm just not going to shield my Jellicent. So I get to farm up with the Jellicent. Opponent maybe misremembering my energy here, throws on alignment, maybe trying to CMP tie, but I don't have a move. They end up throwing again, and I'm just going to let myself get KO'd here. I need to live and die by the Shadow Camerupt. In the back, it's Gligar, and it's the exact same team of mine that I lost to earlier. Camerupt going for the Earth Power here into the Gligar. Gligar shields. We get the defense drop, and now I'm going to incinerate down a Gligar to win the game. With the defense drop, we only need 6 total incinerates to pick up the KO. My opponent's going to fire off their last second move. I'm shielding everything because I exit with the overheat. So long, good night, Swampert, and that's a good game. We move to the next match. Jellicent staring down a Clodsire. Incredibly good lead. Opponent safe switches. Oh no, that's a huge problem. In comes Greninja. Greninja, incredibly good into the Jellicent, and obviously going to completely destroy my poor Camerupt. And on top of that, Hydro does a ton of damage to Credilli. I fire off the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded. I think I have to respect the -1 Hydro. Unfortunately, I get baited with a Night Slash. I make another Rock Tomb, but this can only be a Night Slash. Because if you throw 1 Night Slash, then you can get the second one in only 2, but that's not enough energy for a Hydro Cannon. So Rock Tomb is going to be shielded. My opponent now going to try and go for a Water Shuriken farm down, and they get that farm down. I send in Jellicent, and my fast move is denied. I was hoping to Hex down, but that's going to make it a lot more difficult. They Night Slash, and that boost is also going to make it a lot more difficult as well. If not for the boost and the one-turn bring-in, I could have just Hexed down, but now I actually have to throw my energy. That is quite unfortunate, but I'm going to need to trust in Shadow Camerupt to clutch here. Shadow Camerupt is going to be met with a Mandibuzz. They send in Clodsire, and this is going to be good night Clodsire, as it's going to get 1-hit KO'd by Earth Power. Back in comes the Mandibuzz, but I need to be very careful about when I throw this Overheat. Overheat does about 65%, so I'm going to throw 2 Incinerates and the move, and I need to live this Dark Pulse. Come on, Camerupt. We don't survive, and I lose. I should have just done 1 in the move. Oh, that's really unfortunate, but Camerupt is so glassy. Hopping into the final match, leading into a Swampert, there's a save switch into a Shadow Claw Golisopod. I'm going to stay in here. Golisopods love to shield, so I bait with the Surf, but that's a great bait call from my opponent. The good news is I do wall off Golisopod's charge attacks, but Shadow Claw does give them a lot better play into the Jellicent. They're going to fire off 1 final Aqua Jet. I have the 0, 13, 15 Jellicent, and the Jellicent hangs on. What an incredibly massive survive, as now I'm able to pressure a shield advantage. And shield advantage means it's Camerupt time. In comes Camerupt. Opponent going to throw 2 in the move. I'm hoping that maybe I can get 3 Incinerates here, but Shadow Incinerate hits so hard that I'm only going to get 1. And now in comes Shadow Swampert. I'm going to be firing off Earth Power with Camerupt. Camerupt Earth Power would do massive damage. That forces the shield. In comes Credilli, and my opponent is going to be firing off energy. I'm expecting they're going to try and catch, So I'm going to throw a Rock Tomb here, and they catch onto a Galarian Moltres. Let's go. We get the prediction right. It's going to be a charge attack priority tie to the next move here, and my opponent is going to win it, and I just let it go because I can just farm down with Camerupt and win the game. My opponent realizes this, they undercharge, and now I need to undercharge as well. I want to leave it at 1 HP, but I accidentally do too much. It KOs it. Can Camerupt survive the mud shots here? My opponent is going to end up firing off the Hydro Cannon. I believe they may have gotten the one-turn bring in there, and that's why throwing 5 in the move ended up being on alignment, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think Camerupt could have still hung on to the mud shots, but it would have been really, really close. All in all, I did have a ton of fun with Camerupt. I believe in the 2 midnight sets that I did, I believe I went 5-5, so a total of 10-5 with the team. And Shadow Camerupt, as I mentioned at the start, it's by no means a top pick for climbing. I have had a few Discord members try this team and they had pretty solid results, but I really worry about recommending a Pokemon as volatile and frail as Shadow Camerupt. So even though people who have tried the team have had solid results, I don't think it's a team that I'd personally recommend, just because Shadow Camerupt is very, very slow to get to moves, and obviously, if you sneeze on the Pokemon, it's gonna faint. Like we saw Amandabuzz, a Pokemon that never does any damage, was able to knock me out from over half HP. That Camerupt was in the green and got knocked out by a Dark Pulse. But even though Camerupt does have a lot of things stacked against it, there are a few specific conditions in this meta environment that are weirdly a little bit favorable for it. Obviously, the rise of Dedenne being this absolutely OP incredible mon that just so happens to be walled by it, and of course the rise of Scizor, with Scizor getting deleted by Incinerates. So it's definitely more of a pick for fun. Overall, I did go positive with it, but I do tend to put a bit less stock in that since I am still obviously pre-rank 20, as I haven't done enough battles to get my elo yet. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I had so much fun getting to run Camerupt today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do leave a like on the video, as it does help the channel grow. And a special thank you to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.